The whole idea is that we've been working for about 15 years on our teacher education programs, teacher professional development. About 15 years ago we started with a very intensive model of 5-day summer institute, followed by follow-up in the classroom with our educators throughout the course of the year. So leaving behind the sort of half-day teacher workshop model and going to something really much sort of deeper and as I said, intensive, where we spend 5 solid days with teachers in the summer. We were introducing a pedagogy that was called event-based science, which is really just a kind of an iteration of problem-based or project-based learning, where you begin a curriculum unit with a real news story, actual news footage, to hook the students into this particular topic, where they know this isn't just some lab out of someone's imagination, that this is a real thing that happened. And then the rest of the unit sort of builds off of that hook, where a set of activities are developed and students are challenged to complete a task that resembles real-life work. One of the most successful ones was a group who was decided to design a unit around a 6th grade standard on ecology, and it was particularly about food webs and food chains. And they decided that their hook was going to be about invasive species, and that their unit was going to focus on the way invasive species can kind of come into an area and mess up a food chain or mess up a food web, and therefore sort of through that interaction they would be teaching the students about food webs and food chains. So they chose as their hook a piece of news footage about a bird called the monk parakeet that has invaded our region of Connecticut, and which one might not think that that's such a bad thing, but the monk parakeets their native range is much farther south, and to make it through the Connecticut winters, they build these massive colonial nests on electrical transformers, and I mean huge masses of sticks and things, and so this has caused some problems. It makes it next to impossible for the electric utility workers to actually get to these transformers, and I think there have been some cases of fires as well because of this. So because they generate heat, and that's why the birds are making their nests on them. So they're more of a nuisance species, but there is some real danger potential. And so this was an interesting news clip, and I think it did really hook kids in, and is still hooking kids in. The great thing is that the teachers who went through this program are still using this. They're using it in the 2nd, now 3rd year, and we've introduced this particular unit on food webs and food chains now to teachers in 3 other schools who weren't even involved in the project to begin with. In every single case, it appears there's a statistically significant improvement in student performance after the use of the units that these teachers came up with the science units, in every case.